Okay, let's get right into it. Picture this. You're a senior marketing strategist at Bank of America, right here in Charlotte. You've got this killer new campaign all ready to go. But what if a sudden economic dip, a new financial regulation, or even a competitor's surprise move could just totally sink your plan before it even launches? Well, that's exactly what we're tackling today. The dynamic, and let's be honest, often unpredictable marketing environment.
So this is the big question, right? As marketers, our job is so much more than just coming up with clever ads. A huge part of what we do is analyzing and strategically adapting to this whirlwind of environmental forces. And some of these are completely outside of our control. Your success isn't just about what you do, it's about how you react to the world around you.
So, here's our game plan for today. We're going to break down how to respond to these forces, how to analyze the competitive battleground, understand the economic tides, navigate the rules of the game, leverage technology, and finally, adapt to the very culture of our customers. Think of this as your strategic roadmap. Okay, first up, responding to the marketing environment. The easiest way to think about this is, well, it's everything that's outside your company's walls that influences your inputs, like capital and people, and your outputs, your products and services. And these external forces, they are always moving. This slide outlines two absolute core skills you're going to need. First, there's environmental scanning. This is your intelligence gathering. You're observing, you're reading, you're doing research. It could be using social listening tools to see what people are saying about a competitor. Then, and this is the crucial part, comes environmental analysis. This is where you connect the dots. You're not just collecting data, you're interpreting it. You're seeing a trend and identifying it as either a threat or a massive opportunity. So once you've done your analysis, what do? Well, you've got two basic choices. The reactive approach is basically playing defense. You adapt to changes as they happen. But the proactive approach, that's playing offense. You're actually trying to shape those forces. A perfect example is the home video market. Blockbuster was reactive. They accepted the world as it was. But Netflix, they were proactive. They didn't just adapt to the environment, they fundamentally changed it, creating the whole streaming industry we know today. Which path you choose really depends on your resources and your ambition. Now that we've got a handle on how to respond to the environment, let's zoom in on one of the biggest forces out there, your competition. I mean, no business operates in a vacuum, right? Understanding who you're up against is absolutely fundamental to any marketing strategy.
We can really break down competitors into four main types. You've got your most direct rivals, your brand competitors, think Truist versus Bank of America right here in Charlotte. Then you've got product competitors, like a local credit union that offers similar services but with a different spin. Generic competitors solve the same problem but in a totally different way, like choosing between investing in stocks or buying a rental property. And finally, you have total budget competitors, who are all fighting for the same dollar from your customer, even if their products have nothing to do with yours.
And this table, it's a great way to visualize the competitive battlefield. A monopoly, like Duke Energy, is pretty much the only game in town. An oligopoly is where just a few huge firms dominate the market. Monopolistic competition is where a lot of firms are competing, but with slightly different products. Think about all the amazing tech companies over in Research Triangle Park. And then there's pure competition, where you have tons of sellers with identical products and no one company can really influence the price. But remember, competition is just one piece of this giant puzzle. Now we need to zoom out and look at the broader economic forces that shape how customers behave and every single strategic decision a company like Lowe's or Hanes Brands has to make. The economy moves in cycles, and as marketers, we absolutely have to adapt. During a period of prosperity, we might be looking to expand our product lines, but in a recession, the focus immediately shifts to value, to utility. During a really bad depression, marketing is all about survival. And in a recovery, it's all about being flexible enough to capture that new demand as it comes back. And here is a term you absolutely have to know: discretionary income. This is the money that's left over after all the essential bills are paid. It's the money a student might spend on V-Bucks and Fortnite, a product from Cary-based Epic Games. This is the income we as marketers are so often competing for, and how much of it is out there is directly tied to the health of the economy. And this chart really paints a powerful picture of that connection. Just look at the American Customer Satisfaction Index. You can literally see how dips in the economy, like that big one around 2008, correspond with drops in customer satisfaction. When people are worried about their jobs, about their finances, their willingness to spend and their whole feeling towards brands can change on a dime. All right, let's switch gears and talk about the forces that set the rules of the game. The political, legal, and regulatory environments are all deeply connected. Basically, they create the framework, the rule book that tells marketers what we can and cannot do. This table just shows a few of the key players, but for us, the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, is huge. It regulates everything from false advertising to deceptive packaging. The Consumer Product Safety Commission, or CPSC, is also critical. It makes sure the products we sell are actually safe. Look, understanding these agencies isn't optional. It's a non-negotiable requirement for doing ethical, legal marketing. Now, this brings up a really interesting strategic question. Is it better for industries to regulate themselves? Groups like the Better Business Bureau are a form of this. The advantage is that the rules are often more practical and less costly. The disadvantage? Well, there are often no real teeth for enforcement, and if you're not a member, you don't have to comply. It's a constant balancing act. Okay, let's move on to one of the most powerful forces reshaping our entire world: technology. It's not just a tool, it's a disruptive, accelerating force that can create and completely destroy entire industries, sometimes overnight. So technology really has three key characteristics. Its dynamics mean it's constantly, rapidly changing. Its reach is incredibly broad, affecting every single part of society. And it's self-sustaining. Each new development just fuels the next one, creating this kind of exponential growth. For tech leaders right here in North Carolina, like SAS Institute, this creates just immense opportunities in e-commerce, data analytics, and so much more. And finally, let's talk about people. Sociocultural forces. That's just a fancy way of talking about the evolution of a society's values, its beliefs, its lifestyles. And these forces fundamentally change what consumers want, why they buy, and how they live their lives. Now, what's so fascinating about this slide is the story that it's telling. I mean, just look at those demographic projections. The U.S. is becoming more and more diverse. A multicultural customer base means that our marketing strategies have to be modified. They have to be diversified to meet a much wider range of needs and values. The old one-size-fits-all approach, that's a losing strategy. And this slide gives us some fantastic real-world examples of how those values are changing. You see the rise of green marketing? That's a perfect fit for a company like Asheville's Highland Brewing Company, which can really lean into sustainability. The growing importance of health and nutrition connects directly to the mission of our major healthcare systems, like Novant Health. See, these aren't just trends. They are fundamental shifts in what society actually cares about. So if you take one thing away from all of this, let it be this. As a marketing strategist, you will never, ever control all the forces in your environment. Your success and your company's success, it all hinges on your ability to scan, to analyze, and to execute intelligent adaptation. And that leaves us with a final question for you to think about. Whether you end up at a major corporation down in the Piedmont or a nonprofit up in the Appalachian Mountains, think about everything we've covered. Which of these forces, competition, economics, regulation, technology, or culture, which one do you believe holds the greatest promise or maybe the greatest threat for the future of business right here in our state?